Bitcoin eyes a bullish scenario as thousands of Bitcoin are acquired by whales. That means that Bitcoin is close to a bottom, if not already at the bottom. The whales know. The whales know that Bitcoin is sitting in a great spot. That's why they keep on buying. But let's go ahead and read the article here. In a recent report from crypto intelligence portal Santiment, it has been revealed that Bitcoin's prominent investors, commonly referred to as whales, have amassed an impressive number of Bitcoin despite the recent 10% dip in price. These whales, who hold anywhere between 100 to 10,000 Bitcoins, that's what a whale is in case anyone didn't know, collectively accumulated an additional 57,500 Bitcoin. Not $57,500 worth of Bitcoin, 57,500 Bitcoin. That's a lot of Bitcoin, guys. This accumulation has created a noteworthy bullish divergence that hits at potential strong rebound in the near future. With this notable surge in whale holdings by approximately 1,000 Bitcoin daily, oh, that's a lot. Despite the declining prices, there are strong indications that a bullish scenario may be on the horizon. These intriguing findings providing optimism to the market and suggest that a potential robust recovery may be in the cards for Bitcoin. This is the bigger story that I do believe could have massive impact. Top Hong Kong leader welcomes Coinbase and crypto companies. Hong Kong politicians invite Coinbase to apply for crypto license. Contrary to regulatory environment in the United States, Hong Kong leader NG, I don't know how that's pronounced, so we're not going to try, had on Saturday wrote an open invitation to the likes of Coinbase and other crypto trading operators to come and apply for regulatory license in the region. I hereby offer an invitation to welcome all global virtual asset trader operators, including Coinbase, to come to Hong Kong for application of official trading platforms and further development plans. Please feel free to approach me, and I'm happy to provide any assistance. Recently, Hong Kong made news by allowing retail investors to trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies. As a result, there has been a rise in demand for some of the Chinese crypto coins, although not as much as anticipated. What are your thoughts about Hong Kong reaching out directly to Coinbase and other exchanges, asking them to come to Hong Kong?
This is the foundation of time of when the United States lost its footing in the blockchain technology world. I won't even say crypto. This is where they lost their footing in the blockchain technology space. Your Honor, I give you Exhibit 157. Here's the deal with this. They've known for 5 years that they had issues with addressing what makes an exchange. How do you register your funds? The market manipulation for 5 years. So how and what has changed in the policy in 5 years that makes you go, okay, this is how we fix this issue, or this is the problem that we identified, and this is how we are going to clean it up. Nothing. That's the answer to that. Nothing. So this is the Howey test. When Howey met Gary, digital assets transactions here, okay? And this is from June 11th, 2018. And so this is basically the speech, and some key things to point out here. Can a digital asset or token that was originally offered in a securities offering ever be sold in a manner that does not constitute an offering of a security? In cases where digital assets or tokens represent sets of rights that give the holder a financial interest in an enterprise, the answer is likely no. In these cases, calling the transaction an initial coin offering or ICO or the sale of a token, it won't take it out of the purview of securities laws. And they go on here to talk about that they believe that these cases, the answer is a qualified yes, if they're no longer any central enterprise being invested in, and where the digital asset is sold only to be used to purchase a good or a service available through a network. And so the digital asset itself is simply code. But the way it is sold as part of an investment to non-users by promoters to develop their idea can be, and in that context most often, as a security, because it evidences an investment contract. And regulating these transactions as security transactions makes sense. So what he's saying there is that with the digital assets themselves, they are not securities. But the way that it was sold by, whoever was promoting Ethereum back in the day, is what actually made it a security, which makes Ethereum a security, but the good is not. Again, this is his actual speech, so I'm going to drop all of this today into the Discord also, and you guys can read through it.
The SEC finally answers Coinbase. Of course, wow. The SEC's lengthy response reveals a continued reluctance to clarify its stance on cryptocurrency regulation or commit to any definitive timeline for rulemaking, despite the court's explicit orders. The SEC refutes Coinbase's demand for immediate action, labeling it as an extraordinary request. The commission argues that due to the vast scope of Coinbase rulemaking petition, which was filed just months ago and supplemented more recently, it has not yet determined an appropriate course of action. This, according to the SEC, is an entirely reasonable stance considering the circumstances. So pretty much the SEC deems and rules that they're delaying is reasonable. This is where we get really meat of this article here. In somewhat an unexpected development, the SEC has given an estimated timeline for further action. The counsel for the commission states that they anticipate being able to make a recommendation regarding Coinbase's rulemaking petition within the next 120 days. Coinbase is pretty much saying, you have not told us anything. The SEC comes back and says, oh no, you have so much paperwork here. It's going to take us a really long time. Come back in 120 days and we'll have an answer for you. This could be the biggest headline and story that we see for a long time to come. Treasury Secretary says to expect a slow decline in U.S. dollar as reserve currency. Speaking today, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said that there should be an expectation of a slow decline in the U.S. dollar as reserve currency. Moreover, the statement arrives amidst international de-dollarization efforts employed by a host of countries, including the BRICS economic bloc. Yellen had previously stated her expectation that the U.S. dollar would remain unchallenged as the global reserve currency. However, it appears as though recent developments have shifted her stance on the matter. Speaking of Reuters, Yellen maintained her confidence in the U.S. dollar, specifically the confidence that it will remain the global reserve currency despite the de-dollarization action that had been taken by countries like China and Russia. Subsequently, she acknowledged attempts by these nations to create an international trade alternative, but described them as difficult to conceive. Guys, we're going to see a slow decline in the U.S. dollar as reserve currency. My expectation was that we were going to hold, and you guys can see we actually were holding up pretty nicely. What ended up happening, though, is yesterday, with all of that information coming out, we did see it break through. And when you're looking on the daily chart, you're not going to see a whole lot of volume here, but it's when you start coming down here. 1 hour, 30 minutes. Let's go down even all the way to the 10-minute chart here. Look, this is exactly what I talked about, guys, before. I just didn't think it was going to happen. The volume that it took to break that level had to peak. I told you guys that in and of themselves, the bears had run out of steam. They needed some fresh power. And sure enough, look at that spike in volume comparatively to almost everything else we have seen for a while here. We got a massive spike in volume to push through that level, and this is not a good sign, guys. We are bouncing off of that red line, which technically it's forming a little bit of a falling wedge pattern, which is traditionally bullish. You know, gotta look on the positives. I keep those silver linings to the clouds available, but the fact that we're underneath this 25.2, do not be surprised, guys, to see us come up and retest it as resistance, which is also a very negative thing. Ooh, baby, the Prometheum story gets even better. So they started in 2017 when they filled their Reg A Plus and aimed to raise $50 million. But how did these random lawyers supposedly get approval from the SEC and FINRA? Look no further than their team, including Rosemary Finelli, who worked for the New York Stock Exchange and for FINRA, have not launched their products since 2017, have a bunch of former SEC and FINRA staff, and suddenly appear at a hearing parroting political talking points favoring the SEC. This is their roadmap. They started back in 2017, just kind of filling you in case you get lost. We go, they have been around for a while, and they keep pulling out. They raise the money, and then they pull out, and they raise money, and they pull out. Now that it's convenient for the SEC to have a scapegoat to say, oh, look, somebody is doing this correctly, and this justifies our lawsuit against Binance and Coinbase and calling these other coins securities. BlackRock launches spot Bitcoin private trust for U.S. clients. Now, we'll have to pause on that for a second because there were some stories put out yesterday by a lot of people that said it was a spot ETF. That's not necessarily the case. You guys need to know it's a spot trust. Still a thing that's very bullish for Bitcoin and could be harmful for other people. If nothing else, it's harmful because of this word right here. BlackRock. BlackRock, one of the most corrupt companies in the entire world. The amount of stuff that they own and that they want to manipulate is absolutely ridiculous. Let's read in the story, though. Despite the steep downturn in the digital asset market, we are seeing substantial interest from some institutional clients in how to efficiently and cost-effectively assess these assets, the company said. The move comes a week after cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase Global Incorporated said that it had partnered with BlackRock, which is a little weird because Coinbase has been partnered with BlackRock here for a while now. That was a big story here months and months and months ago. But anyway, we're going to continue to read here. To provide its institutional clients with access to crypto trading and custody services. The crypto community was rocked by recent news that a division of BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, had submitted documentation to the SEC for the establishment of a Bitcoin spot trust. This development has sparked intense discussion and raised significant controversy among industry participants. Charles Hoskinson kind of chimes in here. The SEC and its head, Gary Gensler, are trying to flush out unworthy frontrunners and allowing the anointed, that is Bitcoin, to succeed. Recall that the Cardano token ADA is now suspected by regulators of being an unregistered security. If you know how to pronounce that name, because that's obviously a different language here, kudos to you. But he kind of comments and he responds to Charles. He said, it's not what most Bitcoiners want, but it's a really important step for adoption and recognition, not only of Bitcoin, but the crypto industry, led by strong projects with fundamentals such as ADA, decentralized and effective, unlike Ethereum. So he's trying to say, like, oh, don't worry, Charles. Like, this is good for Cardano too, because it'll bring in adoption and it'll bring awareness, and projects like Cardano will be benefited from all of this. Charles responded saying, I'm old enough to remember Mike Hearn and Gavin being driven out. I'm also old enough to remember Jimmy Song pushing for the US government to ban all crypto except for Bitcoin. Sorry, Maximus are fanatics that want to harm us all.
Wow, you made it to the end of the video. Great job. Now, if you want more content like this, whether it be TA on Bitcoin and Ethereum or altcoins, or you just want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest news in crypto, then stay tuned and tune in to our 9 a.m. live show every single weekday morning. It's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when you tune in live, use the keyword grip strength in the chat, and you'll get a special shout out from anyone who's paying attention to the chat. Love to see you there.